So Oliver Tree passed away, and people are being totally normal about it. No, actually, that was probably really bad sarcasm, and the title is sarcastic, actually. A freak accident occurred where two helicopters collided, and Oliver was in one of them, along with six other people. And I think at this point, it is kind of like, listen, we gotta stop letting people use helicopters. I mean, those things are scary, right? And of course, no one can be normal about this whatsoever. And it's mostly people commenting using his music as a joke about how life actually doesn't go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Which I'm not sure, maybe Oliver would have actually laughed at that, but by this point now, literally everyone is saying the exact same thing. It's not very funny. Kind of old now. Not gonna lie. Too soon? No one ever asks too soon anymore. Have you noticed that? So he is dead. It's not a joke. It's not a stunt. It's not fake news. It's not like a trying to make a revival for like a new album or a new like persona. He is dead. And his family and friends are all going through something that is really, really tough at the moment. And making those sort of comments is really quite disgusting and inappropriate. I find it very weird that I even have to come here and say this. It feels like the internet and everything we have been seeing has totally eradicated empathy. And just before, with the release of half of like the Epstein files, people were always commenting on how they felt like people were being desensitized to CP and the themes within the files. I myself had a moment of realization where the memes surrounding Epstein were also doing the same thing and just making an extremely screwed up and horrific series of events that have been spanning decades into a lighthearted meme. Like, there was this realization moment for me where I was like, okay, I'm kind of actually falling into this thing where it's like, we're just memeing about it and this is serious. Like, this is a serious thing. Just the other day, my friend was even telling me about how for a week, his Instagram reels were full of car crashes. People act like this is like a normal thing, that we are being fed very violent and disturbing images and video on a near constant basis, where there's even memes about that. People are so addicted to their feed that they just go, well, Instagram's showing me beheading videos again, so lol, lamau, that's so crazy. This is not normal, and this reaction shouldn't be normalized either. When it comes to Oliver Tree passing away, which I was very shocked about when I was eating my oats this morning, I found myself even further disturbed by the comments people were leaving regarding his passing. Tell me why this is something people feel comfortable doing now? Because this was not normal by any means a few years ago, or nearly as widespread as it is, especially with Oliver Tree's case. Here's the thing. I feel like people are justifying it by going, well, they did this and that, so I don't like them. Therefore, I don't have to or want to care about their death. It's like, okay, well, why are you slinging accusations and alleging that this person who passed away was a rape apologist and abuser, which implies this person like serially abused people, and also making allegations about him stealing someone's music, which I don't know anything about that, but it's just kind of like, listen, dude, wrong time, wrong place. I think just a little bit, you know. And also, do you have a source for like literally anything that you have just said? Oh, right. Well, let's get into the source then. Which is like, I was gonna say like, I'm mad that I even have to do this, but it's like no one's forcing me to do this, except the thing is that I was reading the TikTok comments this morning and I was going like, oh wow, Oliver Tree, everyone's saying he's an abuser, and they seem really confident about it, and they seem to talk about, you know, Melanie Martinez or whatever, and he abused her, allegedly, everyone's saying. Except they're not saying it's alleged, they're saying that like, that shit happened. And so I'm like, well, everyone's saying it so confidently, it must be true. So then, lo and behold, I go look it up. Yeah, I went and looked it up. This has become like the theme of my channel, where it's like, oh, everyone's saying this thing, I'm gonna look into it and see if this is actually real. And quite frequently, it is the opposite of real. Let's get into it. So, Oliver Tree and Melanie Martinez, the abuse allegations, which at this point, I don't even think they're really allegations, it's more just like rumors or like fan speculation. The pair dated from 2019 to 2020, and Oliver, in an interview, had kind of talked about difficulties maintaining relationships while constantly traveling. So he started exploring polyamory after living a life of like mostly monogamy, and was even saying that he is happy to do monogamy, you know, like yada yada yada, just for like the right person, the right time and stuff. Because the main issue with Oliver and his situation is not staying in one place. And it makes a lot of sense because it's like if you're someone like him who is always traveling, always going places, he talked about how he didn't even have a house, really. He just lived out of a suitcase. And so it is kind of, yeah, that makes sense. Like you can't really have that much of a relationship when you're doing all of that. I don't think that's a very rare thing for musicians to have. So I would say maybe it's like that's why him and Melanie split up. I mean, listen, we're all adults here, right? I hope so. Especially with the things we're going to get into next. Breakups, they just happen, bro. Like, it doesn't need to be like this, like, sinister, like, underbelly of, like, what did they really break up? And so Melanie's fans speculated about abuse between Oliver Tree and Martinez, but have been commenting since his death, acting like it's a true thing. After their breakup, fans speculated albums that she was making and that he were making were all about them, like each other and their relationship and stuff. And reading between the lines on music and albums and trying to decode if she was sending a message or if he was sending a message and yada yada. I think it was mainly, to be honest, just Melanie fans trying to gather sources from both Oliver and Melanie. And I think it's really weird to me that people keep trying to link Melanie's work to a man, and it's like, you know, she can do things without it being specific or like about a specific dude or a specific breakup. You know, it doesn't have to be something that is like, this is about my ex, Oliver Tree, and oh my god, like it doesn't have to be that, but it feels like a lot of people want to put her in that box, which feels very weird to me. I find it hard to explain, but it feels like a woman who is a musician often has her music read as being connected to an ex all the time. If it is about Oliver, I feel like we don't need to know about that in my opinion. I think that she's an adult. If she had something she wanted to say about it, I feel like she would. And I think the music works without knowing about her personal relationship. It's true, a lot of the time we make art and take inspiration from real life, but speculating about their relationship and thinking that the musician is hinting at us because she can't say, I feel like that's just ludicrous behavior. And honestly, I think it stems from people believing blind items and following like gossip pages, which, if you don't know, blind items is kind of like, it'll be like, quote from this is a post by an entertainment lawyer in California. And it'll be like, north of the border, famous singer, child singer made famous, even famouser singer, who has girlfriend with makeup brand, did this thing to girlfriend. And then people will be like, oh my god, it's these two, oh my god, it's so true. And then like, I think like, cause like some of them actually did end up being true, apparently. I don't know. People start, I feel like people just started going, okay, they're all true then. Yeah. Guys, you really gotta take that shit with a grain of salt, I'm telling you. And so Melanie herself even said that the albums were not about Oliver, but her fans just won't listen to her. And the fact that they are spouting that he's an abuser on memorial posts is really, it's not even just weird behavior, it's completely inappropriate and disgusting. Melanie also asked people to leave him alone and that they were on good terms. I think they both didn't really talk about it too much, but for the most part, what they said I think was amicable. And I get that a lot of people think that it's just formalities, but why can't you just listen to what she is saying and asking you to do? Surely it doesn't help her at all if her fans are constantly slinging these heinous accusations in some sort of weird. I don't even. Is it defense of her? Like, what is the goal here? Especially in the wake of his death. I mean, it's seriously disturbing. I'm not gonna lie, like I said before, the comments were so sure and acting like the abuse was a statement of fact that at first I was even like, well, damn, I didn't know that at all. That kind of sucks. And then I looked into it, and it's not true in the slightest. There has never been any accusations. There's never been any formal charges. There's never been. No one's ever said anything, hinted at anything. It's all stemming from people trying to connect the dots, and kind of like in a way, I feel like everyone's like conspiring, or they're putting on their tinfoil hats and trying to like go like, oh my god, she's giving me signs in the music. It's like, bro, you are schizophrenic. This is weird. You are weird for doing this and treating it like this. Stop doing that. Please. It is odd. I'm not saying, oh, you're schizophrenic to try and be like stigmatizing schizophrenia. I'm just saying that like, this is like not healthy behavior. This is weird behavior. This is not something that people normally do. Do you know what I mean? So, Oliver Tree and the pedo accusations. Can't believe I even have to say this. Belle Delphine and Oliver Tree did a collab in like 2022, I think. And in 2021, Belle had done this controversial CNC Twitter post around January of 2021. And people kind of argue over whether it was like a child, like she was dressed childish and fetishizing child essay. To me personally, this is kind of like, I haven't talked really about the Belle Delphine topic on this channel before. I don't really feel like I have too much to say about it, except that there were some times when I was first like looking at her stuff, because I think I was kind of on board like with her content when she first like started really gaining popularity, because I thought it was kind of epic to do like the game of bathwater thing. I thought it was funny. I thought it was like, you know, it was like she's a troll, but like how often do you ever see like women like trolling people? Like I guess it's like Casey trolling is kind of a troll, but Belle was kind of doing something different with it, I think, and so I didn't mind it. You know, I didn't think it was like that bad. I liked her makeup. I liked the way that she styled herself. But then there were times where people were completely disagreeing, where people thought that, you know, the braces and stuff was weird. I thought the braces were like a real thing. I'm not sure if they're fake. I don't know how you even put on fake braces. That's kind of where I was coming from. I'm not her orthodontist, so I don't know anything about, I won't even pretend to know anything about dentistry when it comes to like even like braces, because a lot of people were saying like, oh well, her teeth are straight, why is she still wearing them? I don't know, bro. I'm not a dentist. I don't know. So it is kind of one of those things where it's like, I always thought it was just a coincidence, but in retrospect, maybe it wasn't. I will say when I started being like put off and like, I don't really want to follow this person, was when I saw the picture of her in like this one piece like bikini. It had like, from memory, it has like frills on it or something. And I'm not saying that a one piece bikini that has frills on it is necessarily like, what are they? I guess it's not like pedo bait, but it's like a kind of like infantilizing, or in some way it seems like it's trying to profit off of like a very specific niche of like fetish, right? Which is disgusting if, you know, based on what we're talking about. But it had like a print of like My Little Pony on it. And that's kind of like what made me go like, I don't really like that. I don't like that at all. Because I felt like up until then, a lot of it was like, her style is cutesy. I like that. She also does happen to do a lot of like, at the time, she wasn't really doing porn at the time. I don't know if she's really done that much. Has she done that much porn? I don't even know. But it was kind of one of those things where at the time it was like, she does like erotic stuff, but she also likes to dress in like really cutesy like dresses and stuff. And I was like, I like that style. It looks nice. And I'm not viewing her in like a sexual lens, right? Like I just think she has a nice style and I like it. So that's kind of where I think it was kind of different for me, because I wasn't really viewing it as that, as such. So But then once I saw the My Little Pony one, I was kind of like, ugh. Anyway, what I'm getting at is this is where I kind of like, you kind of miss me with it, is like sometimes it felt like maybe she was towing the line just so much that it's like when people are calling her up and being like, you're wearing stuff that's like too childish, there would be times where I'd be like, well, hang on, what if someone likes wearing that and, you know, is in a relationship with someone who finds them attractive and stuff? Does that make that person a pedophile and the other person the beta or something? Like, I kind of found myself not feeling like totally convinced. Like, it was one of those things where I thought it was a matter of perspective, right? Like, there's a lot of girls out there who do have like the petite style and stuff, and not because they want to, but because they were kind of born looking the way that they do. You know, the genetics made them look the way that they do. But then it did get to a point where I was like, okay, yeah, something's happening here, and I'm not really liking it. Not really liking it anymore. And I think looking at the stuff that she's been posting even now, yeah, she's still doing that shit, you know? She's still very much doing that shit. So yeah. Anyway, so what I could gather is people were accusing Oliver Tree of pedo, or I've even seen people saying rape apologist, which again, I have no clue where that is coming from. People need to actually start giving like sources and actually like providing more context, because at the moment, you know how there's like vague posters on Twitter? We're getting like vague posters on like TikTok where people are just slinging every single allegation or like label, like negative label that they can think of onto a person that they just don't like. And honestly, a lot of it probably sticks because a lot of people don't look this shit up. So anyway, this collab that Oliver and Belle did together was like, yeah, I think that's why people call him like you can't even call him a pedo though. Like, Belle wasn't even like a child. And in the collab, she wasn't even presenting it in any sort of way. But I guess like, because in 2021 she had done the CNC fetish post where she seemed to present as a child, and a lot of people thought. I didn't really think so, but then in that other like aspect, people kind of thought that she was then glorifying or like fetishizing, you know, essay. And you know, the thing is, guys, she does adult entertainment, and those are categories people are interested in, people like. And, you know, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like perhaps it should be more isolated to platforms that do adult entertainment, whereas the fact that it's just on Twitter, or she's just posting her stuff on YouTube up until it got taken down, and she's posted on Instagram and stuff, I do have a bit of a problem with that, because there was a time where it was very mainstream what she was doing. Like, everyone was kind of able to look at it, and still can. So I think that's where I kind of have an issue with it. But I was just gonna say, those are categories that people enjoy, and people are not gonna stop enjoying it because you don't agree with it. So I also feel there's a lot of shame that people put on women when women are like into those categories and such. I feel like that's used as like a weapon against those women, and I don't think that's fair. I think that women who have like those preferences, or like, obviously not like pedo stuff, I feel like we're not even talking about that. I'm talking about like the CNC stuff. And if you don't know what CNC is, you don't need to know, I guess. Just skip this part. Okay, skip this part, okay, guys? Oliver's innocent. I don't know. I think that the whole thing with like Oliver and Belle, everyone at this time, for like a very long span of time, everyone was collabing with Belle because she was the hot topic. She was viral, and it was like a mutually beneficial thing for everyone involved to be either talking about her, interacting with her, interviewing her. You know, Louis Theroux actually interviewed her in 2024. Dad, Nathan Barnett, the boxer guy, he actually had a little collab picture or collab moment with Belle, which his community did not take too much appreciation for. And then we have obviously Too Mad, Finster, the guy who, well, the individual who originally was like dressing up as a girl as a joke and then actually like kind of transitioned. Finster, that guy, love Finster. Moist Critical interviewed her, Cold Ones interviewed her, like so many people have interacted, interviewed, and collaborated with this woman, And I mean, I guess not all of them kissed her like Oliver did. Oliver and Belle had like a really crazy collab. But I don't think that makes him a pedo. I'm just gonna say, I don't think that makes him a pedo. I think maybe it's distasteful. Maybe in the height of her controversy, it's a little bit like, But it just goes to show that not everyone really agreed with the interpretation that she was promoting and fetishizing child SA. So it's one of those things where I guess like you can agree to disagree with it, I suppose. But yeah, there was a moment where I definitely was like, I'm checking out here. Bye. So I guess like I can understand people not liking that aspect of it, but I don't think it makes him a pedo, guys. I'm sorry. I think it's kind of like just something that they did as a collab, and I don't know if it necessarily makes someone a pedo. You could say that it's weird. I think you can say that Belle definitely has like it's like originally it didn't feel like she was doing anything that was like that, I know the word like pedo bait comes to mind, but it's like she's not a child, she's a grown woman. But I think she definitely um she's profited off of the category of like the barely legal sort of porn category, right? Which is I think one of the most famous and like most lucrative categories that there is, unfortunately. It's a very weird one. But yeah, I just don't think that because they had a viral moment collaborating and kissing and basically making like TikTok viral bait. You know what I'm saying? Like the one thing where it's like, whoa, Oliver Tree, the guy who's really up and up in the moment, just collaborated with Bill Delphine. Whoa. I think it was really just more of like one of those things. And I don't think there was really thought of like what that could actually be interpreted as. So I think calling him a pedo is weird. And also, I feel like completely baseless. Nothing to that is real or confirmed. There's nothing. You cannot call him a pedo, guys. You cannot. It's fake news, quite frankly. I think we really need to stop slinging these words and allegations around like this, especially when it's like, oh, it's just someone you dislike. You can't just go around saying this stuff. I mean, this is like insane. This is insanity. Okay? So, you might be familiar with this picture that I'm showing you. This is another controversial moment that Oliver had where it was about Jong Hyun, a K-pop vocal singer for SHINee, the group. And he tragically passed away when he was 27, and it was in 2017. And so this picture that Oliver had posted, it was posted on his account for a few years until someone kind of pointed it out to him and was like, hey, maybe like get rid of this. So we have his apology here where he says, in regards to the Jonghyun photo, I want to apologize to him and everyone who was hurt by the image that was posted on my account years ago. I had no intention of hurting anyone. And to clarify, I didn't make that image and me and my team didn't know what the image was taken from. So this is where I kind of first have like a bit of an issue with this apology. I think that to be like, oh, well, we just posted an image and we didn't know anything about where it was from, what had happened. I feel like you should have at least a little bit more, I don't know, care, because especially when it's something that's so obviously, I think, I hate to say it, I kind of think it's obviously a funeral photo. I mean, we have, it's literally saying rest in peace, sweet bowl cut. So it's clearly a photo of a funeral. You kind of have to wonder, well, whose funeral is it? The fact that it's any real person's funeral is going to be disrespectful, whether you like it or not. It's just going to be. I mean, if someone took, my partner's grandmother died recently, and if someone went and took the picture that we had for her funeral, and I don't know, put like Chris Chan's face over it when rip Sonichu, I think I would have a problem with that. I would have a problem with that, I think. So it is one of those things where I feel like Oliver Tree really could have just made this kind of photo himself. You wouldn't need to even go that elaborate, as elaborate as this. Obviously, the photo is elaborate because a lot of people really cared about John Hewen, and all the flowers and stuff is like, you know, a lot of people really cared about this person. You know, I'm sure it's like it's tough, right? We know how the K-pop stands are, guys. They are still mad about this to this day, and in a lot of aspects, I'm like, you know what? I don't blame you for being mad about this. I'm just gonna say I feel like there's some validation there. So he goes, had we known, we never would have posted it. But it's like, had we known what? Had we known that it was a funeral photo? Again, I don't think you can kind of like be like, oh, we didn't know it was a funeral photo. We got Jesus on the cross. We got a bunch of flowers. We got a portrait of someone. We have a little name thing that you can see at the bottom there. I'm assuming it's Jong Hyun's name or something in Korean, right? Um, and you know, famously, men don't get flowers until they die. That's what people keep saying. Men don't get flowers till they die. And look at all those flowers. I mean, as much as it can be like, oh, well, some cultures, they do funerals really differently, right? I just feel like this must have been like a really lazy job. Like, the concept is like funny. Like, it is a funny concept, but when you take someone's real funeral photo, you could have staged this. You could have made this into something else. But instead, someone sent it in and you went, haha, that's hilarious, dude. And then you went, I'm gonna post it. Haha. Like, it's not good. So, we'll keep reading. The second someone told us what it was from, we removed it immediately. There was no intention of anything malicious, which I do believe, by the way. I don't think that this is like a mean-spirited guy, Oliver Tree. I don't think he's mean-spirited. I don't think he intended. I fully believe that. I don't think he had any bad intentions or ill will. Just no research, which caused a very foolish mistake. Okay, so I like that he is acknowledging that. He's acknowledging his mistake. A lot of people don't do that, guys. A lot of people don't do that. So you could say the bar is low, but let's keep going. At the time, I didn't understand the gravity of posting images I didn't research. Uh, yeah, I mean, trying to understand that. I didn't understand the gravity of posting images I didn't research. I guess there's something to be said that like you have a responsibility to what you post, and I think sometimes this goes into like people you platform. Like sometimes people will be like, oh, I really like this creator, go check them out, and then everyone in their community suddenly knows about this heinous thing that happened, and it's like, oh well, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Sometimes those mistakes just happen, guys. I feel like, can you be responsible for every single time that you maybe platform someone and then go, oops, shouldn't have done that. I think that just kind of happens sometimes. I feel like if people apologize for that, then I think that's meaningful. Although I guess it does depend on like the person if the apology's good. Okay. Since then, me and my team have been extremely careful looking to everything we post. Good. They've made actions to improve the system that they have and to make sure this doesn't happen again. I like that. We're taking actionable change to make things better from here on. The reason we posted it was because I was making an album and tour about death. Okay, so now he's giving sort of like more context and talking a bit more about the decision making behind it. He talks about my cousin died when I was in middle school, and I went to say goodbye to him while he was brain dead in the hospital. Yeah, his cousin got a brain eating like amoeba. I think they were like swimming somewhere or something, and it's like it's actually like not like you can like when I started hearing about this the brain eating amoeba that you can get or something. I think it's an amoeba. You can get it like from like backyard hoses and stuff, like swimming in like unclean water and stuff like that. There's some lakes in like America that just like are known to have them, and people like still swim in them. Yeah. So from memory, I think his cousin died from that, and it was like they got back from like a trip, I believe, and then literally like a day or two later, he was like brain dead. It was a really sudden and horrific thing, which I'm not trying to put it out there and say this whole backstory. I might not be remembering it too well, but I remember it was just a really horrible time, right? I don't think this is to curry favor or to be like, oh, poor me, like, I had someone die too, where I think it's context, and I think it's like, I guess people will interpret it how they want to interpret it. I don't think reading this changed my opinion of the funeral photo. I still think, like, yeah, it was obviously like a really dumb mistake and um, foolish, as he said. So I'm glad that he acknowledged that. But he said, brain dead in the hospital. Ever since then, death has been a huge topic I've explored in my art. Each music video made for Ugly is Beautiful shows my death in different ways. Death is the most serious topic, and through my art, I've been attempting to process it. Once again, I'm so sorry to anyone who has been hurt by that mistake, but please understand it was not intentional. Now, here's the thing about apologies. I've always said this, I think, is that when you're apologizing, it's not fair to beg the person to understand your intentions, I think. I think that it's validating someone's feelings. Obviously it's hard to apologize to a whole group of people, but asking them to please understand you is, I don't think that's right to do personally. So I have some problems with this apology, but it's like at the moment it's like you recognize where you went wrong, you're making systems or changes to improve that, and you're apologizing. I think he's mostly done a pretty good job, I will say. And he says, I'm sending my deepest condolences to Jonghyun's family and everyone who loved him. Oliver. I think it could be worse, you know? But I do understand why people would be upset about this, and, you know, I'm not here to tell you that you have to accept his apology or anything, but I think that a lot of people are sharing around, like, this image, but I don't think a lot of people are fairly giving Oliver, Oliver's apology, you know? I think it's fair to, like, present both things, because, you know, we love fairness, I guess. I'm not going to tell you that you have to accept this, but I'm going to say that I think that there is worse things out there, and I think that, you know, a lot of people want to castrate him over one mistake, because if you really look down to it, like, down to the nitty-gritty, after everything I've said in this video, there really isn't a lot of, like, bad things that Oliver has done. And if this is, like, one of the only things that Oliver has done that is, like, I mean, there's definitely worse people in the world, guys. And you know what? It's also another thing where it's like, just because there's worse people in the world doesn't take away what this would have done to people. But I'm just saying that, like, it feels like the hate is so disproportionate to the actions and the mistakes involved. A mistake which there is, like, one of. I mean, if you want to say, we could say maybe two if you really don't like the Belle Delphine stuff. You could say that there's maybe two mistakes. But at the end of the day, I think they're mostly just missteps. They're I don't want to say misguided, because that sounds kind of religious in a way. I don't know. It's just missteps, mistakes, and I think at least acknowledging them, apologizing, that is already way more than a lot of people do not do. Okay? So, again, I'm not going to tell you to accept his apology, but I'm also saying, like, well, think about mistakes that you've made that if they were broadcast to the internet, how would people think about your mistakes, you know? Do we want to live in a world where this kind of thing is what makes us, like, I don't care about you anymore. You're dead. Well, life goes on and on, hey? You know, life goes on and on without you, huh? Like, do you really want to be this kind of person that, I'm sure a lot of, like, whoever's watching this, I'm sure you're probably very chill, very cool, and not at all like that. But on the off chance that there's anyone here who's kind of written those comments themselves, do you really want to be this kind of person where you are so ambivalent, or you're just so uncaring, like, it's just a chip off my shoulder, you know, like, I don't care that someone's died. Because even if you think it's like a joke, that kind of behavior is going to seep into every way that you live your life. It's not going to be just a TikTok comment that you made in passing. It's going to be a formative feature of your character that people around you are going to notice and see. And I wonder if they would still want to be around you if they knew you were kind of doing this kind of stuff. And if they are around you realizing that, then what kind of person is that you are friends with? What kind of influence are they having on you where they're saying this kind of callous stuff? Because you know what? It's not a bad thing to care about things. It's not a bad thing to be a little bit sad that, you know, someone passed away. Like, you know, I mean, there's only so much you can do. There's like I think they say like a woman passes away from DV like every 10 minutes or something. I don't really remember the stat too well, but yeah, every 10 minutes. So this video, 12 minutes just passed in this one clip alone. So someone has died. Another person has died. But I'm just saying that it's like, maybe if you don't have anything nice to say about Oliver Tree, maybe if you don't like him as a person, maybe you just don't have to say anything, because I really struggle to see the point in making up lies and spreading rumors. Like, at the end of the day, what does spreading lies and rumors about a person really achieve? I feel like you kind of just end up looking like someone who is just dislikes the person, is just coming up with any reason to kind of, I don't know, ruin their reputation. I mean, you just sling so many different insults and labels at them and just hope it sticks, and I just struggle to see what the point is, right? And to be fair, maybe some of the people perpetuating these rumors, they themselves don't even know that these are not, they're just rumors, you know? They're basically just blind items at this point. And are you really going to go around saying this about a person who just died tragically, prematurely, where their family and their friends are grieving and probably seeing these things? I mean, as far as like the music thing being like one of the songs being like a copyright or something, like, again, that is between the fucking legal system, the courts, and all that shit. I don't know anything about it. Maybe I'll look into it later, but again, those kind of disputes happen all the time. I think even Coldplay had a song that was disputed as being a copyright. I think Viva La Vida was apparently had a copyright issue with some other musician or something, and I don't know, it happens all the time, you guys. I don't know. I don't think it's not really something that I'm characterizing as being that bad. I'd have to listen to it, honestly, but it happens to all sorts of musicians, you know? I think Taylor Swift has had issues with it or something. So many people. I don't really remember. It's really, like, I just don't think it's that big of a deal. And it's kind of like, again, inappropriate timing for that kind of stuff. But I do want to divert your attention to the Oliver Tree Reddit page, where this funny comment from 3 years ago, relevant today still. Capinox says, and also the Oliver abused Melanie, or Oliver sexually assaulted her, or the thing about the K-pop guy. And then, even if you explain that they're wrong, they'll just pull some shit out of their ass of him being a pedo or a rapist. Which is bar for bar what is happening right now, which is crazy to think about. This was 3 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna say though that like I could explain that you're wrong for disliking him. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, there's some people that I dislike where, well, oh my god, there's this one guy on TikTok who does like workouts, and I just get the sense that like this guy, I'm not gonna say anything else specific, but I just get the sense that this is a very performative like male who does these like workouts, and it's one of those things where I can't ever say like who this is or why I dislike them or why I think that, because it's like a vibe you get, right? But I'm not gonna start commenting on his TikTok and being like, bro is so performative, bro, I bet bro is pretending to like women, or like, you know, it's just one of those things where you watch someone and you think like everything about the way that you're portraying yourself. But like, I feel like that's different to going around commenting and being like, hey, you're a pedo, you're a rapist, and flinging all these labels around when you have zero business doing so. And so like, listen, let me know if there is actually evidence to any of these claims. Otherwise, stop putting this stuff up and around. It's actually ludicrous. You're actually kind of crazy if you're saying all these labels and he hasn't actually done anything. I think that it just takes away from like the real cases that happen, and I think that that's a problem. I think that people are getting a little bit too comfortable saying whatever you want to say. And like a lot of these comments are like, this could have been a text to your friend, but it's not going to be, because you know that if you text your friend these kinds of things at this time, they're gonna think you're kind of a weirdo, a freak. And you know what? Bring back shame, eh? Bring back some shame. God. I just think that at the end of the day, I know very well what it's like to be like toxic online and to write toxic comments and toxic shit. Like I grew up playing League of Legends, guys. I know ball. I know what it's all about. And I'm here to tell you, as a reformed toxic person, toxic player, you do not want to be the kind of person that just posts like negative comments all the time, because it really does something to you, like mentally, and just like it does something really bad. Like you might think like I'm keeping this to the internet, but you'll actually like notice, if you become self-aware of it, that how that affects everything that you do. Like it'll seep into every aspect of your life and your being, and you're not even going to notice it until maybe it's pointed out at you, which is what happened to me. Is that someone who was very close to me told me that they thought that I had anger issues, and that I was like really like something was weird, about the way I was behaving. And that actually was so helpful for me, because I was like, you know what? I don't like who I've become. I don't like what I've been doing here. And I think a lot of the times, like sometimes I'll reply to like YouTube comments, and like especially ones where I'm like I disagree with you and stuff, but I find that a lot of the times those are just comments that come from ignorance, people who don't really actually have all the information, people who didn't watch the whole video. And so I try to explain the context and explain the situation in kind of a polite way, but also sometimes I'll be like, I'm gonna be a bit like firm here. There's nothing wrong with being firm, guys. All I'm just saying is that slinging these kind of comments and allegations and accusations against Oliver Tree, when, as far as I'm aware, hasn't actually done any of this shit for real. I think that that's a very bad development of your character for doing that. Alright? So maybe let's reflect on what we're doing here, right, guys? Alright. Have a nice day. If you can.